What's up, guys? Welcome to Down Once More podcast with Matt and Bailey. And we are back for another musical review episode. This week, we're going to be reviewing the movie Pitch Perfect with Anna Kendrick and some other people whose names I don't know.
All the peoples.
Or remember.
Anna Camp, Brittany Snow, Rebel Wilson, Adam Devine, Skylar Astin,
Elizabeth Banks.
Elizabeth Banks.
Some other people.
All the peoples.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be reviewing. It's going to be a lot of fun. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Allergies are still kicking my ass. So if I keep rubbing my nose during this episode and you're watching on YouTube, I don't have a Coke problem. I just have a pollen problem.
Maybe you have both.
That's where I'm at with it.
You can call it pollen.
I could have both. It's the white pollen, the pollen of the riches. Yeah.
Cool.
Good. How are you?
Sorry not that I get the allergy thing going on. I'm actually getting sick, so I am. I might be like sounding a little stopped up or like raspy too. So the sickness has been traveling through my house, and because I never see anybody outside of my house, I don't go anywhere or do anything. So I work in my house, so I have to blame the only other two humans that I have any contact with, and they both got sick in the last week and a half. So I'm destined to get it. My son, when he sneezes and coughs, has no concept of like covering the pathogens that get sprayed out in every direction. And he literally came in to kiss me the other day. Just to kiss me on the cheek and just went all over my
dog
face.
does that sometimes.
Oh, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's not really that surprising if I caught it after that.
Are always sick because their kids always, because
well,
it's like that. Like you said, they don't have any semblance of covering your mouths or washing your hands after you touch everything. And
absolutely. And they're like little walking petri dishes. They're just like little walking germs that go to daycare. Their parents send them to daycare, even though they've got snot pouring out of every orifice of their face. They still send their kids to daycare so that when my kid goes, let's play, and like puts his hands on your kid's face and they go and play in the dirt and stuff, and he just gets rubbed all over his face. Of course he's gonna come home sick, and then he's gonna spray it on me, and I'm gonna get sick.
Speaking of Petri,
I'm doing great.
Did you ever watch The Land Before Time?
Oh my God, I knew you were gonna say that. I fucking love Petri and Ducky and Littlefoot and Spike. Oh my God,
and Sarah. Like, why do we have a Sarah? I mean, because it was a Triceratops.
She's a Triceratops, and her name is spelled Cera, not Sara.
Still,
but all the other ones had much cuter names. Yeah. Hers was trying a little too hard. But yes, I loved that movie.
She was the bitch.
Yeah, she was. Of course, every girl named Sarah is, right?
Word.
But I used to watch, I think I watched that movie 150 times when I was a kid, back when you could only do it on VHS and you had to rent it or buy it. We owned it and I watched it all the time. It was one of the few movies that my parents would let us watch on Sundays because we were not supposed to watch anything on Sundays that weren't religious in nature, or at the very worst, a Disney animated movie was okay.
So you watched the Evolution Big Bang movie instead?
The irony,
not Big Bang, but there's the asteroids and stuff destroying the dinosaurs
billions of years ago when our Earth created dinosaurs and then wiped them all out of the face of the Earth. No, Matt, that happened 6,000 years ago because that's how old the world is. Let's not get it twisted, okay? Dinosaurs were only about 5,500 years ago, so don't get it twisted, okay? But yeah, I've introduced it to my son, Land Before Time, and he's obsessed with it too because he's an awesome kid, and anybody who's awesome will love that movie. Now, I do not recommend that you go through and watch any of the 50,000 sequels they made to that movie. I'm pretty sure they got up to like Land Before Time 18 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, there's a lot. The first few weren't bad.
I've only seen the one.
I like the first few.
I didn't see even two, I don't think, because why would I? One is so good. Anyway.
In 5, I think, is they become friends with a sharp tooth, a baby sharp tooth named Chomper. And then there's
it's
the
already
sea,
bad.
the big water, and there's songs about it. There's the swimming dinosaurs,
so it's a musical?
whatever those were. Yeah, there's songs in some of the other ones.
No,
Are there
it's not
songs in the original one?
No, there's music, like it plays in the background, but like no, they don't. The characters don't
sing songs in some of the sequels. I think multiple ones, maybe.
Interesting.
That'll make the list at some point. We'll do The Land Before
if we're
Time
ever so
7,
desperate to come up with
Journey
content.
to Big Water. I need to see which one that is. Journey to Big Water. But yeah,
I don't know. But Petrie was always my favorite for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A little pterodactyl.
Petrie was the best.
Cute.
And Ducky.
Littlefoot.
Littlefoot was a little bitch, and Sarah was the more typical definition of a bitch.
True that. True.
But
moving right along.
We're not talking about Land Before Time.
Yeah, let's talk about what we actually came for.
Oh, dude, the one that I'm talking about with Chomper, Journey to Big Water, that is 9.
I told you, there's like 18 of them stupid things. It might even be 20. I don't know.
Man, that's a different one. There's
why
a
they
lot.
Kept making them.
Because 9 came out in 2002, and I think they were making them after that still. But yeah. But today we are actually talking about Pitch Perfect.
Yeah. And give us a little synopsis of Pitch Perfect in case anybody doesn't know what it's about.
Yes. Pitch Perfect, the first in the trilogy that they did. The first one came out in 2012. And as written by Napier's logs on IMDb, it is described as the Barden Bellas are a collegiate all-girls a cappella singing group thriving on female pop songs and their perfect looks. After a disastrous failing at last year's finals, they are forced to regroup. Among the new recruits is freshman Becca, an independent, aspiring DJ with no interest in the college life. But after she meets Jesse from the rival all-male a cappella group, Becca has a new outlook and takes it upon herself to help the Bellas find their new look and sound and get back into the competition. And that's basically what it is.
That is a good synopsis. That is accurate.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, we'll be talking about the first one, and eventually we'll probably tackle the second and third ones. I feel like there's a drastic decrease in the movies as they went on. I think the first one is by far the best.
That's usually how it goes, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
But this is the first one. We'll only talk about the first one in this episode.
Yes. But Rayleigh,
initial? No, go ahead.
You give your initial thoughts since I gave the description.
My initial thoughts. I've seen this several times. It used to be on TV. Like it was, there was a time period when you could like turn the TV on and it was always on. So I had watched like bits and pieces of it a lot. And there's a few times watched it all the way through. At first I will say, I love Anna Kendrick. I love her. I think she is a really great actress. I think she has a beautiful voice. I think she's really like a very likable person, and she has a lot of she has a very unique personality, and she's like one of the Jennifer Lawrence type where you just kind of want to be friends with her because she's very chill and very cool. And I've also had a lot of people tell me that they think that like my facial expressions and the way I talk are similar to hers, which I find extremely complimentary because I think she's badass. But I've been told many times, hey, you know that actress Anna Kendrick, you remind me of her, like your mannerisms and the way you talk and your like, I don't know, attitude or something. But anyway, I love her and I think she does a phenomenal job. I think there are a few parts of this movie that fall flat for me, and it's lacking. There are many opportunities that I feel like they missed, that they didn't take and they missed. So I don't think it's as good as it could be, especially with her in it. But overall, I like it. It's enjoyable. It's fun to watch. It's just a bunch of like, there's no real original music in it. So it's a bunch of covers throughout the whole thing. All they do is sing covers. So you're not going to get any original music out of watching this. And that's okay. That's what this is. It's good that way. But in terms of music, they picked a lot of songs that people like, you know, and it is very trendy. And the thing is, because it came out in 2012, all of the music is either from like way back, like in the 80s, or like during that period of time, 2012. Yeah. And so some of the 2000s. Music doesn't age too well. Some of them are the classics, like I said, back in the 80s, like you can listen to those even today and you still love them regardless of the fact they're from the 80s. But the more pop songs from that era, from 2012 to today, that it doesn't age too well for me. So some parts of it that I think are lacking the pizzazz that I would expect it to have. But overall, I really like the movie, and I just like her. I just think she's great. But it's a little over the top at times. I know it's cheesy. It's supposed to be cheesy, but I'll get into what I mean more after you tell me your initial thoughts. We can talk about it. Okay. Please tell me, how do you feel about this movie?
I really enjoy this movie. Partially, I think this was actually my first introduction to Anna Kendrick. Since I'm a big Anna Kendrick fan, just her snarkiness, her humor in general, and in this movie, I feel like she plays that character perfectly. Although they describe her, they're like talking about how she's such an alt girl and rebel, and it's just because she has some extra piercings in her hair.
I like really dark eyeliner,
nail polish,
like,
eyeliner.
She put on some extra eyeliner, so she must be a goth kid. Like it's she's got a couple of earrings.
I was gonna say I'm surprised she's not in more musicals, but she's actually been in quite a few like movie musicals because she's in this. She's in Into the Woods, and then she's in The Last 5 Years, and I'm sure there's some other ones she's in, but those are like main one. Isn't she in Trolls? Isn't she one of the voices in Trolls?
Yeah, she is.
I haven't watched Trolls.
She's like the main girl, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's got a really good voice. I love her character. This movie was my first introduction to Adam Devine, who I really like. I think it was most people's first introduction to Rebel Wilson as Fat Amy. I also really enjoy Skylar Astin, who plays Jesse. He was in Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist as well, and he's really good in that. That show's hit or miss for me. I've talked about it on here before, but he's really good in that. And we've talked about True Blood before. Anna Camp, who's Aubrey in this, she's like the cult leader's wife in True Blood, isn't she?
The church's / Jesus cult. She's the wife of the pastor, so she's famous, and she's in from like season 2 maybe 3 is when she gets introduced. No, actually maybe in 1. No, I think about it. But she's throughout the whole show. She has a huge part in that show, and I think she's great. She's just the right amount of annoying and like perky and perfect, and like that's just works for her. But like for her and for Anna Kendrick, I feel like both of them are just kind of playing themselves in a way. Like especially Anna Kendrick in this movie, she just didn't have to act too much. Like I think her personality is very similar to the girl she played in this movie. Maybe taken up a notch or two because it's supposed to be dramatic and over the top, exaggerated. But I think for the most part, she was just playing herself, which makes it believable. At least it doesn't look like she's acting. So that's good.
Yeah. When I rewatched this before our episode here, when I rewatched it to take my notes and everything, like I think this is one of the more fun movie musicals out there. I'm like, I just enjoyed pretty much the whole thing. Like I enjoy it from start to finish, and I still enjoy those kind of the dated, the 2000s pop songs, and that's what I don't listen to a ton of the radio anymore. I have Apple Music, and I listen to what I like. What I listen to, whether it's throwback, emo, pop, things from that. So I enjoy the soundtrack that was our childhood. In it and the covers arrangement. Yeah. And then like right after this, I think this is what kind of spawned NBC did a spin-off. They did a competition series like American Idol, but it was called The Sing Off, and it was all a cappella groups. And it was kind of on the heels, I think, of the success of this. And that's where Pentatonics, if you've heard of them, that's where they got popular. And that's how I discovered and saw them as well, was I was watching that show. I did some great arrangements. Pentatonics did a Britney Spears mashup arrangement on there, and it was really good. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think it's really funny that you find these movies that are like they find this little niche that they kind of explode. So you never really think about going to college and being a part of an a cappella musical performance group, because that's just not like the first thing that comes to mind when you think about college. So like I like movies that find this little small world and kind of make it so that it kind of blows up on scene. And so you get these total uber nerds, uber musical nerds, uber voice nerds, uber like music nerds that are all in this world, and they think it's like the most important thing in the entire universe is that they stay in this little world and they do their competitions and that they're the best. And I think that's kind of a cool aspect of it, because you don't really it's not done in a lot of different ways. It's done very rarely with something like this, and they did a good job of that. They make college look like a complete and total, like just they make everybody look like they're assholes in college. Like you're not going to find a nice person at this college. Everybody's an asshole for a different reason too. It's like they just nobody's nice. Nobody says good things. Nobody encourages you. You happen to have a roommate who's like a complete and total bitch, like from day one. Doesn't even speak to you. Basically, makes you feel like if you go to college, you're never going to be able to have a good time or meet good people, because you have to be thrown around like a rag doll by all the horrible, mean people at college.
Yeah,
it doesn't make college look like a fun place unless you happen to join a group like their a cappella groups. Then it's the only way you're gonna have fun. I just think it was funny.
That's what you need to do. Acapella. I thought one of the funniest things was their portrayal of the stoners in this. Like that, just that the stoner acapella group, they're just lazing them out, and then when they pop up in the riff off and are just
too high
so
to do
random. I'm just like, okay. I'm like, I guess that works.
That's what I mean by exaggeration. Like everything is so extreme. Like the stoner groups like can't even sing because they're so high.
Well, I'm like Aubrey, Anna Camp, and this like the leader of the Bellas, and everything's so serious about it, and just that's very excuse me, and everything's
going to be amazing.
Aca that. Yeah, and just
excuse me.
I enjoyed it, and there's some things that you can tell that kind of date it and don't necessarily age well as well. Like you said, fall flat. Like the jokes about the one person, Cynthia Rose, in the comments about if she's lesbian or not, the lesbianist, and everything like that, where it's kind of turns it into a joke, is maybe not the most sensitive that it could be. And
there's a whole bunch of like body shaming in it too. It's a whole bunch of that, like comments about how the group looks like they've released barnyard animals on stage, because some of them are overweight and some of them are not that pretty, or some of them are like that they have short hair, like they're lesbians. Like the whole idea that like ruined the aesthetic of the group because they let in normal other people, and like they make comments like, oh, it looks like they released barnyard animals up there. I wanted
the hot Bellas.
Well,
that's what the one announcer, that the guy announcer that's with Elizabeth Banks, is just he is there to make the most sexist, misogynistic comments. Like that's his purpose. Like at the end, Elizabeth Banks says, well, you are a raging misogynist, so how would you have?
And see, for them, that was one of my notes. Those two, the commentators, they reminded me of the commentators from Dodgeball, where they just say like really random funny stuff, and it's just like it's unnecessary, but it brings in extra humor.
Right.
I think she does a great job, and he's a famous actor. I forgot his name, but he's very good at that. Like
say John Michael Higgins, or something style. Like that.
But there are some times when I feel like they kind of they had an opportunity to be even funnier, and they sort of just some of it is like not because of the misogynistic thing. That's
right.
Aside from that, I think they actually had some like humorous moments, and they could have done more with that, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's cute overall.
And I like this. It was also, I don't know if it was the first movie, but this also kind of introduced me to Ben Platt, who is Evan Hansen and everything like that as Benji, who's basically just playing a homeschooler in this. He just has no fashion sense. He's
Uber
the
nerd.
Weirdest fucking kid ever. Super into Star Wars and then magic and all that stuff. Not really great at reading the room and knowing what to say. I'm like, if he was so just awkward. A little more shy and didn't have the confidence to approach the troublemakers like he did, which I mean, Jesse pushes him. I'm like, this is just a homeschooled kid.
Yeah,
that's what this is.
Yeah, totally. This is his first time out in the world. And he's like the number one fan of the troublemakers. Like he's like all over it. All over the whole acapella thing is his scene, and he's just a cheerleader for everybody, but like an uber weird kid. And that's another example of just being so extreme. Like because his character is on the farthest extreme it could possibly be. And it makes it funny.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting too, having that and seeing that as these fans of the acapella groups, which you don't think of. But I think it really just highlights how weird some of it is for like these college sports teams too. Yeah. It's like you are like so obsessed with this 18-year-old kid. like it's different here on their age. But it's like you are just putting everything into these kids. Like they're kids. They're young,
still babies
doing their thing. Like stop being weird about it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And people who go nuts over that, like as their fandom, it is strange. Yeah. But that's the symptom of the country we live in too, where you idolize the weirdest things. Like that guy is really good at throwing a ball. Okay, good.
Don't get me wrong. I'm all in on our football team, but
of course, because you're American. That's what we do.
America, fuck yeah!
Coming up to save the motherfucking day.
I've never seen that full movie. I just know the song. That's it.
It's worth a watch. Oh, maybe we should add that to our list. That is definitely one that we need to review. Team America. Put it on the list. Yeah.
Okay. Team America on the list.
Yes.
Also, we didn't talk about this yet. I didn't know, but I caught it like with the credits, that this is loosely based on a book. The book is a true story. It's called Pitch Perfect: The Quest for Collegiate Acapella Glory by Mickey Rapkin. It detailed his experiences in the acapella world. And I tried to look more up on the book. The book doesn't even have a Wikipedia page or anything, so I don't think it's very good seller. On like Goodreads or whatever, it has like 2.5, 3 out of 5 stars. So not very well reviewed book. And I am guessing it is adapted in the loosest way possible, that they used the name and the fact that there are many acapella groups at this college.
Right.
So that's
funny. I didn't know that.
I didn't go out there and read the book before this episode, so I apologize. But I did look, and when I found out there was no Wikipedia page, that's about where I stopped looking.
It's to be expected, I think.
Yeah.
I did think there were a few unexpectedly funny moments. Like there's an older acapella group of guys that graduated from this college and are still together doing their thing. So when they come on the scene, I think there's a few moments where like they're clearly jealous of like the guys that are doing the acapella group in college now, and they're still living in those glory days of their days as being acapella in college. And like, so they put on these and one of them is just super weird. I know he's a famous guy because he's in all these movies.
It's Joe Trulio. Yeah.
What? Is that his name? The little short guy.
Yeah. And then it had Donald Faison from Scrubs too.
From Scrubs,
Joel truly is the little one. He's like, "Come on, hit me, fatty, kick me in the balls."
And then like she's got the trophy, and he's like, he goes like, "Give me the sharp weapon. I want to put it up his butt." And he's like, "Ooh, cherry on top."
He like bends over.
It's like, "Ooh, cherry on top." Like, he loves it.
I love
It's
that
so
guy.
random.
He's in so many like role models. I Love You, Man. He's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. If you watch
He's always
that,
playing the same character. That's what I was thinking of, Brooklyn
yeah,
Nine-Nine. That's what I had in my mind. I
yeah.
couldn't remember I'd seen him before, but yeah, he's
Mm-hmm.
hilarious. He's always playing the same character. So once you see him, you know what he's going to be. It's just like, yes.
Yeah.
And then
I think this movie, when I was rewatching it, it has a lot of quotable lines.
Yeah.
I feel like too, that just like when Bumper goes to Fat Amy, he's like, I think maybe we should have sex. She's like, sometimes I think I could do crystal meth, but then I'm like, better not.
Better not.
That stuff. And then like
their whole thing, Bumper and Fat Amy, is really funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like those two together.
I've been shot. He throws a burrito at her. I've been shot. I've been drive-by with Mexican burrito.
Her character and Rebel Wilson as whole, I feel like there is some controversy that like she was actually older than she said she was and all sorts of stuff. She's skinny now. She lost a bunch of weight, but her character in this is so good. Like her introduction, they're like, you call yourself Fat Amy? Yeah, so twig bitches like you don't do it behind my back.
And then later she's like, oh, guys, I have a confession. My name's really Fat Patricia.
Yeah. And then when she's talking about what she does, she's like, I'm also good at mermaid dancing. And she just lays on the ground. I'm like,
you know what I feel like watching her though, like is like half the stuff that she said she made up on the spot. You can just tell she's
like
ad-libbing.
She did a lot of
like,
improv.
She did not. That was not on the script. You could tell on her face she's like looking kind of off and like thinking about it, and then she's like she says it just off the top of her head, and they just kept it in because it's genius and hilarious. Yeah, I was gonna do that, but then I didn't. Got attacked by the Mexican food instead. She runs out of gas because she forgot to put the gas because of the burrito incident.
When they're supposed to be doing cardio, she's like, I'm doing horizontal running. She's just like there.
But it's like, and then you have to do cardio. We have to do cardio. Yeah, don't put me down for that. Don't put me down for the cardio.
Well, like when Becca's looking for a group to join and she goes to the booth that's the DJs, and it's the Deaf Jews. And then Fat Amy's over there and talking the thing about fat Jews and not fat Jews, Deaf Jews. And it was like that whole scene with them was just so awkward but funny.
Oh, so good though. Yeah, she's definitely she steals the show.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think that was like her first big break or where she got, at least in the US.
Yeah, I think so.
I have a hot take on this movie, and that is I actually can't stand the Cup song that Anna Kendrick, that Becca does in her audition. I feel like everyone got so obsessed with it and like learning the tap and the thing with the cup and everything. And I don't care for it at all.
That's funny. I actually knew how to do the cup thing before the movie came out. So when she did it, I was like, I've been doing this shit since I was like 6th grade. Like I could do it. I can do it every time. And there's a game we used to play at my school where we'd all sit in a circle and you each had your cup and you go, and you pass it to the next person and this person passes it to you and you do it again and you pass it to the next person. So it was fun. I already knew how to do it. So for me, I was like, this ain't a big deal. Like, I thought everybody knew how to do this shit. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. She must have made that up. I'm like, bitch didn't make that up. Nah, this shit's been around. And I didn't think it was that cool. Like, I think it's cool, but I don't actually like the song that she's singing during it. I think that
that's fair.
Nobody. I think that song is kind of, and you could have done the cup thing to like any other song.
Oh,
but I guess she decided to do that when they were filming it. I saw her interview about this once, and it wasn't part of the audition originally, that she was just going to sing the song, or she was going to do something else. And she decided she was just sitting down like at the shoot, like they were shooting, and she was kind of just messing around, and she did it with the cup, just sitting around with the rest of the cast, like hanging out. And she just did it one time, and they were like, "Whoa." She's like, "Yeah, I could do this as part of the audition." And they were like, "Yes, we're adding that in there. You're putting that in there." So it was kind of her idea to put it in. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
and before that, I think the whole scene where Becca's singing in the shower and Chloe's in there with a guy hooking up, and then she just barges in on her, and the whole thing, they're just talking about it, and she's like, "Song's my jam, my lady jam,
my lady
it
jam."
Really builds, and Becca just goes, "Gross." Like, I feel like Becca has so many like one-liners and moments like that. Like when Aubrey's going on, she's like, "I know you have a toner for Jesse," and she's like, "What are you talking about? A musical boner?" And then she's like, to get into it, she leaves. She's like, "I can see your toner in your jeans." And Becca's like, "That's my dick."
Oh my god! Yeah, she has great, like, her one-liners are great. And
she's very well written, and she executes the lines and delivers them perfectly.
Yeah, I think the one person who is underrated in this, in the whole movie, maybe because she's like known for something else, the girl who talks really quietly. She talks like this, and you can't understand what she's saying. But then when she beatboxes, this bitch is badass. Yeah,
yeah.
She's like, "Does anybody want to see a dead body?"
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "What? Huh? Do you want to see a dead body?" You can't hear. But then she starts beatboxing, and I think that part is underrated. Like, she's funny because of the quiet talking, but they totally bypass the fact that if you watch her actually beatboxing, bitch is badass at it, and so she doesn't get. I think she doesn't get the recognition that she deserves in that area.
Because I think she's actually beatboxing there.
She is. Yeah, she really is doing that.
With Chloe, when she has her nodes removed and can hit the low notes, and it is just so comically fake that she's just going like, "Whoa." It's so deep. I'm like, come on. What
was that? I don't know. I've never made that sound before. Like, she would.
I have notes.
You have notes.
Yeah,
vocal nodules.
I love the riff off scene in this. They're all in the pool, all the groups, that with the almost, I mean, it's not freestyling because they're singing covers, but just the back and forth with the songs. I think that's a really cool scene. And the riff offs kind of, I think there's a riff off in every movie. At least one of the sequels has one. And then there's one in the spinoff series on Adam Devine's character, the Bumper in Berlin, that has him and Sarah Hyland and Flula Borg and Jamila Jamil and everything, and they're in it. And that series was better than I was expecting it to be. It was entertaining.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
And it has a riff off section in it too. Yeah, it's on Peacock. But I'm an Adam Devine fan. I liked him in this. I saw him. He filmed his comedy special. He's from Omaha, which is like an hour from me in Nebraska. That's where he grew up. He almost died. He was ran over by, like, I don't know if it was like a concrete truck or a bus or something, like when he was younger, a kid. He had a whole bunch of surgeries and stuff like that.
Jesus.
But no, I think Workaholics is funny if I'm in the right mood. That's just very the dumb humor and comedy. But I enjoy him as a comedic actor, and I think he's perfect in this role of Bumper, because it's like he's the hot guy that he's so talented and everyone likes, but it makes sense for, like, he's hot for what he's doing. Like, physically, he's not like the best looking guy. Like, Jesse's significantly better looking than him. Most of the other ones. Yeah. But who's he leaving? Who did he say he was leaving to go on tour with? Was it John Mayer?
John Mayer.
When, like, that's why he bailed on the.
He's like, yeah, guys, I've already won this like 5 times, so
Yeah.
I'm out.
Let's go
John
with
Mayer's.
John Mayer.
John Mayer just got in touch with me personally through his assistant.
Mm-hmm.
It is so funny. He that whole thing with Fat Amy, which I think really gets developed more later in the trilogy. Like they go way more into Bumper and Fat Amy in the second one. But their little like thing is funny. Mm-hmm. And the way he is around Benji, with like his one-liners when Benji's talking to him, he's always just like, "Whoa."
Oh, I think I made a note of the first time when they meet or whatever, and Devine says something. Oh, maybe I didn't, but he's like, "Oh yeah," he says, "The smell of your weird is actually affecting my vocal cords, so I'm gonna need you to scoot." Just like that. I'm just
the
like,
smell of your weird. See, I think that's perfect.
Yeah,
it's such a good line, and only he can like. I don't know, the way he delivers his lines are perfect because without his performance of it would not be that funny.
Nope.
But like, I think it was. Oh yeah. So there's several parts where I was saying this earlier with what's his name and Elizabeth Banks when they're doing their back and forth.
John
a couple of moments where it's really funny when he's like asking her about what the name of her a cappella group was, and she's like, "We were called the Minstrel Cycles." It's like, that is an unfortunate name. But I think that's funny. But then at the other side of it, there's lines that he delivers, and sometimes her, but the line where he goes like, "This number is like an elephant dart to the public space." That, to me, you lost me on that one. Like, that's not that funny. And there's moments when I feel like they probably, knowing those two actors, like, I'm sure they ad-libbed a bunch of times. They probably just shot a bunch of scenes with the two of them just saying random stuff like at each other. And I feel like they probably said some other funny stuff that they could have put in instead of the stuff that was in there. But some of that was disappointing to me. But when Bumper and what's his name? Donald, I think is his name. Yeah, when they're
Bumper
drinking.
And Donald.
Bumper and Donald. Getting it. Getting it. Getting it.
Yeah. Which he doesn't look like a Donald. I wouldn't have pegged him as a Donald. No. I feel like that guy, I've seen him in something else, and he kind of has some swag, and I like him as an actor. I'm trying to think if he's just a comedian, if that's what I know him from, just something else.
No.
Utkarsh is his name. He's in Free Guy, Blind Spotting.
Free Guy. Oh, things. Yeah. Free Guy. I forgot he was in that, but that's probably what I was thinking of.
He's in Tick Tick Boom as Todd. I'm trying to remember. I think that's one of the people at the when he goes to the marketing thing where they're trying to name the focus group. I think he might be one of the people in there. That's what's standing out to me.
That makes sense.
But yeah,
I have an unpopular opinion.
Ooh, let's hear it.
About the end. I think, to me, the Troublemakers should have won.
Yeah.
Their final scene versus the Bellas, I think we saw more of the Bellas set. Like, you see, they do a lot more. Like, their set is longer, and we only get a little bit of the Troublemakers set. But for what they did, I don't think, after all that teamwork and team building, and they did this like girl power thing where we're going to change it up and we're going to come together and do this awesome set at the last minute, and it's going to be amazing. And they win because they have to win, because a movie like this has to have them winning at the end.
Yeah.
So they win. But when you put what they did next to what the Troublemakers did, I think the Troublemakers did a better job. I think they should have won.
Yeah. I could go either way with it on the final performances. Like the Troublemakers' performance of Magic and everything is so, their whole set is so good.
And their beatboxing is better.
And they're open. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I don't know. I think I enjoyed the Troublemakers more, but I could see why the Bellas won too. I could be persuaded either way, but I get what you're saying.
I think the choreography was better. The Troublemakers choreography was better. They did a lot more like actual dancing and like jumping around the stage versus the Bellas doing their like, you know, this stuff and like leaning on each other's backs and just shaking their butt a little bit. Like I think they're not really, it's not really any dancing involved versus these guys who are doing flips and like throwing stuff around, and they had a lot more choreography. And again, we didn't see it as much of the Troublemakers as we did the Bellas, because they had to give them the long ending show so we could go, yay, they did it, you know. But it's an unpopular opinion, but the Troublemakers should have been finalists. I mean, it should have been the champions. Just
I get
it is.
I think that's
and just
fair.
Because she chose the song from The Breakfast Club doesn't mean it's a better song than the songs that they used. Because I don't really like that song. Don't you forget about me. I think.
I don't either. I've only seen The Breakfast Club once.
Me too.
The song's not a big one. Like, it doesn't do it for me.
I don't think so
songs
either.
in a Goofy movie are significantly better. Yes. But yeah, it's one of those classic ones.
But she put it in there because it was her sending a message to Jesse. It wasn't because it was a good song to do in the show. Right. And that's what bothers me. I'm like,
it did fit with the mashup, though, I felt like.
It did. But I think they built the mashup around that song. So you had to give Jesse the message. I get it. But like, for me, it kind of made the performance go like, it's kind of boring a little bit.
That's fair. I get that.
But I do like their outfits. I like that they were dressed cuter and they weren't flight attendants.
Yeah.
They look like Delta Airline girls. Ooh, 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 ooh. I knew hardly recognize me. I'm so glad you made it ever like me for you.
When Fat Amy takes over and has the solo, and she is going so good. Like, I feel like she doesn't really have the best voice. Like, it's not bad by any means. She has a good voice. It's fine. But compared to the others, like, it's not on par.
It's
just
fine. Yeah.
Her
whole demeanor, though,
motion and energy and everything. She's like,
But I had a problem with this because they got so pissed at Becca for throwing in her little extra mashup thing. Surprise, like, we're going to do this now. And she didn't tell anybody. They got pissed at her and like kicked her off the team, basically. But they didn't get pissed at Fat Amy for completely disregarding the choreography and like just going nuts up there and singing it different. Like, how is it okay when Fat Amy does it, but it's not okay when Becca does it?
Well, this was my guess with that, because they did get, I mean, Aubrey got kind of annoyed with her, but my guess is because she was still singing what she was supposed to and doing. I mean, her choreography was screwed up, but it wasn't affecting what other people were doing. And so that's what they were kind of saying with Becca, is that it threw them off. Like, you get those extra sounds, tones, lyrics in there you're not expecting, and it distracted people, and they didn't know what they were going to do. But
it was distracting, and also too, because nobody else joined in with her, so it was just her doing it. Like, made it seem like they half-assed it. To the other audience.
The other Fat Amy quote that I quote all the time is the "not a good enough reason to use the word penetrate." When Aubrey's like, if we let them penetrate us, we're giving them our power. It's just like,
not enough good reason to use the word penetrate. Oh man.
I don't know. I feel like it's a fun movie. I like the arrangements. I always appreciate a good cover and a good mashup, and I feel like that's what some of the acapella stuff does, and it's just so impressive when people can do that stuff with when you
realize there's no
voices.
Music.
Right.
And I had an issue though, because she's her whole deal is that she mashes music up, right? That's what she does. She wants to be a producer of music, and so she's got all these demos that she's put together. She wants, the guy at the radio station to play, and eventually he's like, yeah, you can play your music at night, and when that happens, it's because she hears on the radio he's playing one of her songs, and she comes running in and she's like, oh my God, that's my song, you're playing my song. And I listened to it and I was like, this kind of sucks though, like for how talented you're supposed to be at this and for how well you've put together the acapella arrangements, you'd think that like her song mashup would be like fucking badass. But to me, it just sounded like electronic dance music. It was just like,
yeah, it was fine,
it was just like,
but it wasn't.
It was not spectacular in any way. And I was like, man, this is disappointing.
I also felt bad for Jesse because the radio DJ dude's just trying to swing it out there with his abs, and like he was very dismissive of Becca for like he didn't play her music for the longest time. When she gives him a flash drive, he throws in, he's like, freshmen aren't allowed in the booth and all of that stuff.
He's a total douche,
Becky. And
he's then total douche, but he's a hot douche. So
I would say that actor's in quite a few things. He was in the show Peacemaker, which was a superhero one, kind of with John Cena, an anti-hero, and he was in the show Unreal. I don't know if I've talked about it on here before, but it's basically, I think it was like a Bravo or a Lifetime scripted show, but it is about basically shows like Bachelor, Bachelorette, the behind the scenes, what the producers are doing to manipulate it, make things happen. And it's actually really good and interesting. I mean, it's very drama-y, but he plays the Bachelor in that.
That's right. I had totally forgotten about that. I didn't remember what it was called, but I did watch some of that. I would love to go back and watch that again. That's good.
I'd recommend it. It's really interesting, especially the first season. The second season, they get kind of, as some of those things do, then they go like more over the top and everything, I feel like. But the first season, I was watching it, I'm like, I feel like this is probably actually pretty close to the shit that actually goes down on the show. Where they're like just really how manipulating what people do. Yeah.
Yeah. And like some of the people who are in these shows, some of the people in the reality shows go along with it. Like they know what they're getting into and that's part of the deal. And some of them are stupid enough to think that this shit is actually real. And like it traumatizes them and people have done interviews after going on those shows like Bachelor and Bachelorette and like done like full on, like I was harassed and manipulated to within an inch of my sanity when I was filming this show. And because they'll like make you film for like 18 hours straight, no breaks, no food, no sleep, like, and then they just push you emotionally until you break. And then they catch it all on the camera. Like all that stuff is really real. So when I was watching that show, I was like, I knew it. I knew this was how it was, but they don't let you see that part. And so I appreciated that they made a show about it.
Agreed.
It was good. But that's all the notes I have on Pitch Perfect. I don't know if you have anything else to add. I think I kind of covered it all, but
no, I don't have a ton of stuff on it. I think we covered most of my comments. A lot of them are kind of more just like anecdotal things when about the back and forth, the quotes. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that's really like, I need to hit this. I do want to say it's just very inappropriate that Becca's dad is just always walking into their dorm room. Inappropriate. He gets like one knock and just walks in. Boundaries, man.
Right. It's not just your daughter living there. So full grown other woman. It's not okay to do it to your daughter either, but it's definitely not okay to do it to her roommate.
Right. And McLovin's in this. Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
He has such a small role, but it's such a funny role.
Such a small role. And I did have a logistical question. At the end, when they're about to do the next auditions, he's talking about, and he says that he was shoved into the girls' locker room wearing only suspenders.
I had the same
how
thought.
Can you only wear suspenders? Because what the fuck are you attaching the suspenders to?
What are they clipped to?
What are they clipped to?
I had the same thought.
Over there?
I was like, if you're wearing them, then that just means that they're like draped over your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, they would just fall off. But suspenders clip to something.
Right. You can't wear
I had the same thought.
Suspenders.
It's impossible. I mean, I guess it's possible, but like you'd have to be like
I don't know how.
High tolerance for pain. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right. Yeah. There'll be some scrotum clips. And then, but in the back, because they clip multiple places.
I mean, you'd have to go Up
and
under,
he's
I think.
skinny. That would that's a lovely visual.
You're welcome.
On that note,
Mm-hmm.
I think it wraps up.
Yeah.
Pitch Perfect. Stay tuned to our social media, and many episodes will be announcing our July movie, so you'll have plenty of time to watch it. Rayleigh, any last send-offs?
I will also be doing a mini review this month, probably this month, maybe. No.
In July. We'll say we'll do them on the July mini episodes.
Oh, yeah.
This, as you're watching or listening to this, it's at least June 28th.
Yeah, so we'll be
the July
doing a review of Little Mermaid, whether it's already out or not. I don't know yet, so we'll find out.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
But check that out for
fun
sure.
Things. And make sure you're watching or listening to the mini episodes, seeing our opportunities for how you can help us pick our next movies. So check out the socials, like, comment, subscribe, follow, share. We appreciate you guys' support. We always like to see the numbers grow. It warms the cockles of our heart, as people say.
Warmth.
On that note, thanks for joining us in this Pitch Perfect episode. And don't forget to go down once more. Later.
Peace.